We want to thank everybody for joining. We got a great group of college representatives who are in the business of supporting not only me, but you to and through this thing we call the admissions process. So at this time, before we begin our presentation, we're going to acknowledge the college reps in the room and ask that they share, briefly some, high level, ins and outs of what's going on, how they can be reached, and ways that they can connect with you. At this time, in no particular order, we go Whitney. If Whitney's the face I'm looking at, we can start with Whitney, and Whitney can give the great things happening at UA Little Rock today.
Yeah, well, thanks. So like Mr. Scales said, my name's Whitney Kellyott. I am the representative that works with students thinking about going to UA Little Rock. And so one of the things I really like to hit home is that UA Little Rock is your home institution. So we're the only 4-year urban metropolitan public university in the state. So lots of diversity, different ages, different ideas, different backgrounds. So we love students if you're coming right out of high school, if you're thinking about going to a 2-year school first and then transfer over to us, or if there's any parents in the room that want to come, we welcome you to come on over as well. So real quick, high level, we have a few different admissions standards. So if you have a 15 on the ACT and a few sub scores and a 2.25 GPA, we're on the right track. And then scholarships, COVID has kind of run amok on a lot of us. So we're looking out for those merit scholarships, just GPA and ACT. It's a 20 on the ACT for all of our scholarship brackets. So that's our 2,000 per year and our 10,000 per year. If you have a 20 on the ACT, we're looking at how high can your GPA get you. Stack that with a few other scholarships, and then our new need-based Trojan Strong. So I don't know if you've heard, but we got a $25 million grant back in the spring. Yes, $25 million, not a grant, it was a donation. So that's where any student, if you are just admitted by August 2nd and you are Pell Grant eligible, so we're about to get into what tells us if you're Pell Grant eligible, so keep those ears on for that FAFSA. But if you're Pell Grant eligible admitted, UA Little Rock's going to finish paying your balance. So after all your financial aid pays through, if you owe UA Little Rock $27, we're going to pay it. If you owe UA Little Rock $5,000, we're going to pay it. So it's the best year to have an affordable education, live on campus, get that experience, and really see that we do have that traditional college feel, that on-campus living, the Greeks, the D1 sports. So there's a good fit. Being your local institution, even if you're looking at going to a 2-year school first, let's still work together because we want a 4-year plan. So I'm gonna put my contact info in the chat and let y'all keep moving on. So definitely any questions, thoughts, email, text, set up a calendar meeting, and I'll be there for you.
Thanks, Whitney. At this time, no particular order, any other representatives. I see, I'm gonna pick one out, Ms. Dillard. Ms. Dillard, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Mr. Scales. How are you?
I'm going well.
Good evening, everyone. Like Mr. Scales says, my name is Deidre Dillard. I am the admissions representative from Arkansas Tech University. Arkansas Tech is the 3rd largest institution in the state of Arkansas, and we have the 2nd highest graduation rates. And we are located in Russellville, Arkansas. So it's just an hour and some change away from Little Rock. So it's a good, easy drive. It's far enough away for you to feel on your own, but then also close enough so that you can get back to your family or your family can get to you if needed. So about admissions, our application is always free to complete. And we are not test optional this year, but we do give you the option to take the ACT, the SAT, or the AccuPlacer. And so for unconditional admission, we require a composite score of a 19 on the ACT and then a GPA of a 2.0. And so we do not super score, we only look at composite scores. If you don't have that 19, we will take a 15 composite score ACT and then still that 2.0 GPA. And then you submit the free application online. Our scholarships start at a 17 ACT composite score and a 2.0 GPA. And they go up from there. They start with our leadership scholarship, which is $1,000 per year, and goes up from there. And so visiting Arkansas Tech, we are hosting on-campus tours. We do those Monday through Thursday at 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 3 p.m. And anytime that you all would like to come up and see more about Arkansas Tech, find out what we're about, I definitely encourage you all to do so. And I will drop all of the information in the chat, as well as my contact information. So that's just the highlights about Arkansas Tech. Thank you.
Thank you, Deidre. At this time, can we hear from Ms. Radina?
Gotta unmute myself. How's everybody doing today? My name is Radina Garcia. I am your admissions counselor from the University of Arkansas, Fayetteville. Just this last year, U of A saw some record enrollment of nearly 28,000 students, but still maintains a small class size with a student-faculty ratio of about 18:1. This gives our students a lot of interaction with their classmates and with their faculty members while they're attending University of Arkansas. The U of A is a top research university. We're ranked in the top 2.7% of research universities in the nation, right alongside Harvard, Princeton, and Yale. We really support our undergraduate students in having that opportunity to complete research as an undergraduate student. So along with a great study environment at the U of A, Fayetteville is a fantastic place to live. Recently, Fayetteville was ranked in one of the top 5 best places to live in the nation and the #1 city in the SEC. So scheduled to be completed in spring of 2020, we are working on an expansive construction for a building that will be our new student success building. So provide our students with some cutting edge center for academic support, collaboration, and creativity. So we're super excited about that. We do have, want to mention about our Honors College is one of the largest endowed honors programs in the nation. And Honors College students can enjoy a number of perks, including smaller class size, research experience, special housing, and additional scholarship opportunities. Now, for admissions, our priority admission deadline is November 15th. So we encourage all of our students that are interested to apply by that deadline. Students can still apply after that date and still be admitted, but it really puts you in a good place to move forward with applying for scholarships and for housing. So traditionally, the U of A requires a 3-point cumulative high school GPA as well as a 20 super scored on the ACT or SAT equivalent. This year, we're offering a test optional and a test flexible option for students who have been affected by the COVID-19 and had tests canceled. So students who have a 3.2 cumulative high school GPA or higher can go ahead and submit their application without a test score and get an admission decision. And then students who have a 2.75 to 3.19 GPA can submit their high school transcript along with either an SAT, or a next generation Accuplacer score. So even those students that really meet that test optional requirement, we still encourage you to submit a test score by February 1st to be compete for academic scholarships. Test scores will be required for course placement by May 1st. But once students are admitted, we do encourage them to go ahead and start those next steps, like choosing their housing, doing their housing contract, and registering for new student orientation. Now, once students submit an application for admission, just in a couple of days, they can go ahead and start working on their scholarship application. I've worked for years in higher ed in the financial aid administrator, and so I'm super excited to be able to be here with this presentation and hear once again all about the FAFSA. But applying for scholarships is key for students. We have a holistic review of our scholarship application. There's a separate application for scholarships, but you'll be considered for about 10 to 11 different scholarships. And that priority deadline is December 1st. We will be looking at December test scores with that date. And then our final scholarship deadline is February 1st. And we will once again be looking at February scores for those students that meet that final deadline, as well as any student that met the priority deadline. So there's really never been a better year, I think, to apply for the University of Arkansas. We're far enough, but close to, but lots of good things happening It's an amazing university. I'm going to put some of my contact information. We are doing on-campus tours. We actually do them Monday through Friday, multiple times a day, and about 2 to 3 times on Saturdays throughout the month. And we just expanded some of our tour times. So we're probably giving up to about 8 tours a day right now. So it's a good time to come on up and visit Fayetteville.
Thank you, Ms. Redina. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm muting myself. I'm good. I'm good. It's a long day.
Good. You share the wonderful things going on at UA-PTC for us, please.
Okay. So yeah, we have a lot happening at the University of Arkansas-Pulaski Technical College. We are your 2-year comprehensive community college here in the Little Rock and North Little Rock area. Some great opportunities for you to start with us, get some scholarships, and then transfer to some of the great four-year universities that we're actually on a call with. We have programs with all of them. And so it's a chance for you to maybe get your basics out of the way, because sometimes you don't know what you want to do, but I'd rather you not know what you want to do at a college that's could be virtually free for you than go somewhere where you can accumulate a lot of debt, which I'm sure Miss Sandra will talk about during her financial aid presentation, because debt, financial aid, scholarships are terms that you will hear for your whole entire senior year. It will be beat into your head, because we want you to know to look out for scholarships, look out for ways to apply, and we want you to have the best success fiscally and educationally. And so we offer an opportunity for you to get quality education at a low rate, and that's our mission, and we stick to that by making sure that we provide affordable college opportunities. And so we are part of the UA system. So we are an accredited school. All your credits transfer. That is not a problem. I get that question all the time, and I want you to know that we got you. We went ahead and talked to those other universities to double check to make sure that your credits transfer. So whether you want to make movies or be a chef or be a marine biologist, I don't know if we have credits for that, but we will find you a university that does, and we will make sure that you take classes here that you need to go on and be successful in whatever career. I'm going to drop some information. We have a preview day coming up next Friday. It's actually during the day. It's going to be virtual. We're doing it interview style, so you'll have an opportunity for student leaders around our campus to go around and talk to different departments, so you can learn about what our university has to offer. We have a stigma of only being a tech school, but we have some really great humanities and arts programs and drama programs and programs that are just all around the board. And so it's really great. I could talk about UA-Pulaski Tech all day, but I will not bore you with the details, because I want you to visit me and take a tour with me where you get some one-on-one time. You get to ask me all the questions and all the things, and I get to basically carry you around on Zoom and show you every crevice of campus, as long as you are willing to listen to me talk. So yeah, I'll drop my contact information in the box. UA Little Rock. I'm sorry, Whitney. Did I say Euler? Sorry. Okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the information. We like to thank all of our college partners for sharing briefly with us, not one, but the many different things going on your campus, how to connect with you, and just try to help these scholars ease them into this transition, which is what we call the admissions process. At this time, we're going to hear from one of our other college partners, Miss Sandra Carmona. She is with UA Little Rock's TRIO Student Support Services. They provide a variety of opportunities. And at this time, she's going to, talk about how do we go to college, what is FAFSA, and ways to kind of support our scholars to and through. So at this time, Sandra, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Like you said, my name is Sandra. I'm with the TRIO programs. First of all, I want to make sure that everyone's still awake. So if you are, go in the chat box and type in money, because we're going to be talking about money. Let's see who's awake. All right, Travis, Victoria, Jada, good. So I can see you guys are awake. So I will try to make this short and sweet. I want to respect your time, but I do want to answer all your questions. So during any time of this presentation, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box or stop me by unmuting yourself, and I'll be happy to answer those questions. So today it's how to pay for college. One thing that I will be following along is the Arkansas Guide booklet, which is this one right here. So I'll be using this for additional information. Mr. Scales already sent that to you, I believe. And if not, if you can't get a hold of it, then I will put the link on the chat box as well. Let me do that really quick. Let's see. Booklet. So I do know that things happen and you might have to disconnect or the internet messes up or something. So I do want to go over some important opportunities for you before I get into the college and how to pay for it. The one thing that's really important that I want to make sure I share with you is the ACT, the free online ACT bootcamp that we're having. Mr. Scales probably sent this information to you already. The TRIO programs is going to have this bootcamp. Is going to be taught by nationally known ACT professionals. There, it's going to be three sessions. Here they are. It's session 1, November 14th, is a kickoff session. We're going to have a career panel. Session 2 is November 21st. Is English and math, and then session 3 is December 5th, and that's the ACT reading and science. So our idea is for you to register for the December ACT and then take these 3 sessions those Saturdays before the leading up to the ACT test on the 12th. And these are going to be Saturday mornings, 9 to 11, so nothing too crazy. It's going to be short. We're going to focus on strategies to do well on the ACT. We're not going to teach you how to do math. We're not going to teach you how to read. We're going to teach you how to choose the correct answer on the ACT. All right. The other opportunity. So before I do that, let me go ahead and copy this link and I'll put it on the chat box as well. So you'll have it. Feel free to copy and paste it. ACT Bootcamp. So that's there. Make sure you register. Spots are limited and they're filling up quick. So if you want to do the ACT, then you will become a TRIO participant, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. The last thing I want to share that's pretty cool opportunity is the application fee waivers. I know that UA Little Rock, they provide waivers. Whitney put it on the chat box. Pulaski Tech doesn't require one. I don't think ATU requires a application fee, but for Fayetteville, there is a fee, and then there's other colleges that require a fee for you to submit your application. Well, guess what? I can provide that application fee waiver. So if you don't feel like spending $30 to pay for a college, or you would rather spend that at Taco Bell or somewhere else, then feel free to contact me, and I'll be happy to request that waiver for you. And all you have to do is become a TRIO participant. Like I said, I'll talk about how to become one in a minute. All right, so those are important announcements I wanted to make. TRIO programs, we are here to help you succeed in college. All of our services are free. We can help you. I can set an appointment with you, whether it's through Zoom or in person, to apply to any college of your choice to complete the whole FAFSA, so you don't stress out about it. I can help you look for scholarships. I can give you the AccuPlacer for free, and online tutoring. We have those available. And here's a list. I'm not going to read through the whole thing for the sake of time, but we can help you with any aspect of going to college. I'll be here for you. All you have to do is become a participant. To become a TRIO participant, all you have to do is complete the TRIO application, which I'm about to put on the chat box. Okay, so the TRIO application is there. Here are the services. Take a screenshot or anything that you need to do to remember that I can assist you with any of that. But anyways, let's get started. I know this is what you came for, so I won't delay anymore. How to pay for college. So today I'll be talking about what types of financial aid are out there, where you can find it, when you should apply, and how to navigate the process. All right. So let's see. So let's start with the FAFSA because that's the most common one. That's the one that it'll probably be the easiest to get and one of the biggest amounts. The FAFSA is broken down into three types of aid: is grants, federal loans, and work study. And I'll go into details on those. And then we'll talk about scholarships. Those are usually separated into state, or usually I categorize them into state, institutional, which are colleges and universities, and then by programs and organizations. And I'll talk a little bit more about those. Any questions so far? Can't see anybody, but if you have questions, just stop me. So the FAFSA, like I said, it's the grants. The grants are, hold on. Okay, I'll tell you a little bit about those. To apply for the FAFSA, the federal student aid, you have to be a U.S. citizen, have your high school diploma or GED, so you'll have it by the time school starts around. You'll have to go into an eligible program. I have a valid social. If you're a male, you have to be registered for selective services and have a satisfactory academic progress in college. So how much can you get from the FAFSA? Each student is going to get a different results based on their circumstances, like how many people live at home, how much the parents make, how much the school cost, how many people will be in college in that family. So there's a lot of barriers that they look at to let you know what your financial need is and how much they'll give you. All right. So they usually look at the cost of attendance and then the estimated family contribution. And the Pell Grant right now, that's money that you do not have to pay back. I repeat, you do not have to pay it back. So Pell Grant, you can get up to $6,345. So for example, if you decide to go to Pulaski Tech and you get the $6,345, that will cover all of Pulaski Tech, which is why Chris mentioned that you could essentially get all of school paid for. Now, if you go to a 4-year, depending on which one you go to, this amount will cover some of the cost, but not all of it. So that's something to consider when choosing schools. And that's why it's important to look for other scholarships if you go to a school that it's more expensive. Now, federal loans, you do have to pay those back. So be careful whenever you receive your award letter, make sure that if loans are there, please realize that you have to pay those back. They'll offer you up to $5,500 in loans. Just because they offer that amount, it doesn't mean that you should take it. And it also means that they will offer you the whole amount. Only borrow what you need if you decide to borrow money. All right. And I won't get into much detail about subsidized and unsubsidized loans, but just remember that subsidized is always the way to go. If they offer you those loans, always do subsidize because the government will probably pay for the interest while you're in school. And then federal work study, that's funds that you'll earn while working on campus. So if you want to have a small job at work, at college, that's a good option because if they don't give you an assignment or a work assignment, then you can always study or do your homework. That's why it's called work study, and it's a good option, especially if you won't have transportation while in college. All right. Then now completing the FAFSA application. So like I said, when you complete the FAFSA, you qualify for grants, loans, and work study. This application opens up October 1st. So today is October 27th. So it's been a month almost that it's been opened. So if you haven't started on it, I suggest that you get on it. So the sooner you have it, the better. In order to apply for the Pell Grant or to complete the FAFSA, you first have to complete what's called an FSA ID. That's your username and password that you create to access your FAFSA. You'll need one of this FSA IDs, and then your parents will need one as well. All right, so both of you will need one before getting started on the FAFSA. So that's the first step. You'll get that done. And then to complete the FAFSA, there are several steps. First one was to create the FSA ID. Second one is to gather all the information. You'll need things such as your social, your parents' 2019 tax information. They should already have filed this. They probably did it sometime at the beginning of this year. So they should have the 2019 information, records of untaxed income, cash savings, checking account balances, and other investments. A lot of times, if your parents do not have a lot of money, or just, the average person, I would say, the average family, that you probably don't have to worry about all the investments and all that. So don't let it intimidate you. And you can find more information regarding the documents that you need and these steps in the booklet that Mr. Scale sent to you and that I put on the chat box. That's gonna be on page 1. All right, so completing the FAFSA. This is the process. I'm not gonna do the whole FAFSA, so don't get scared. I don't want to waste your time. I'm just gonna do some highlights of things you should watch out for when completing the FAFSA. And remember, if you get intimidated by any of this information, I'm here to help you. We can do a Zoom meeting, and we can get it knocked out in 15 minutes. All right. So when you log into your FAFSA, you'll probably see this page. Don't freak out. It looks like a lot of questions. You can just skip it. You can just click on next and move on to the actual application. So as you can see, there's several sections here. The student demographics is pretty straightforward, just name, social, birthday, address, all that. The school selection, that's where you'll put all the colleges that you're interested in. Even if you haven't applied to that college, or if you're undecided, if you're applying to it or not, go ahead and put it on there, because it's better to put it there now than having to go back and making any changes to the FAFSA. So have your list ready to add all colleges you're interested in here. What they'll do is they'll send the results of the FAFSA to those schools that you selected. And let me see, I think I have a question. Okay, Whitney put the code for UA Little Rock, so it's on there. Then dependency status. I'll get into more details on that one. So hold on tight to that one. Parents' demographics is gonna be their socials, birthdays, names. So you'll need your parent for that section. Also, the parent financial information, you'll need your parents' tax documents and the things that we spoke about earlier. And then the student finances. Usually if you worked, it's gonna be your 2019 tax information. If not, then you probably won't have anything to report unless you're getting money from somewhere. The last one is just to sign and submit, and then the confirmation. So let's see. For the student demographics, it's gonna say, what will your high school completion be for 2020, 2021, which for you will be 2021, 2022. For that, it will be high school diploma. So it's gonna have different options, but for you, it's gonna be high school diploma. And it says what college degree or certification you'll be working on is gonna be a first bachelor's degree. There's gonna be other options, don't freak out. You can be safe by putting first bachelor's degree. The other question asking if you'll have a bachelor's by this year, you put no. And then it's gonna ask you about your grade level for college. You'll put never attend the college first year. Even if you've done concurrent credit or anything like that, you can still put never attend the first year. All right, for work study, always say yes. Even if you're not thinking about working on campus or you're undecided, go ahead and say yes that you want to consider a work study. because it could be that you change your mind in the future. So it's better to say yes than having to go back and change it. All right. So here it is. I said we're going to talk about being a dependent and independent. I won't go into all these questions in detail, but just know that basically, if you're not married, if you do not have any kids, if you're not over 24, then you're more likely to provide your parents tax information. You'll be considered a dependent. Now, independent, it's only if you're married, if you have kids that you provide for, if you're over 24. Also, if someone has a legal custody of you, so you have a legal guardian, you'll also be considered independent. And then if at some point you were in foster care or an emancipated minor, then you'll be independent. But for the average student, you'll more likely be a dependent and you'll have to provide your parents' information. All right. Now, who is your parent? I won't go too crazy into this because we could sit here all day and determine who's the parent, who's not, but just some highlights. Your grandma, your uncle, your cousin, if you stay with them, but they're not your legal guardian, they're not considered your parents. Parents are those that legally adopted you, or give me a second, I want to make sure the chat. Okay, sorry. If they legally adopted you, then they're considered your parents. Your legal guardians are not considered your parents. All right. Also, if your parents were married and they separated and now you're living with one of them, you'll put the information of the parent that provides the most money for you, the most support, basically. If your parents divorced and then one of them remarried, or whoever, if you're living with the one that remarried, that your stepdad or stepmom will be considered a parent. So you'll put their information if the parents are married, okay? And you live with them. Like I said, I could go into detail with the different scenarios, but I'm not going to. If you have questions about this, if you have a unique situation, let me know and I can help you figure out if you're a dependent or independent or whose information to provide. Now, this section for the parents' information is going to ask about like child support they received or paid. It's going to ask for veteran benefits or any untaxed income not reported. Okay, so this is going to, a lot of times, if you're not receiving money from anywhere else besides where you work or where your parents work, then it'll be 0 on these sections. So keep that in mind. And like I said, we can sit down and complete the application so you don't have to stress out about this or put the wrong information. Now, the easiest way to put your parents' financial information from the taxes is to link it to the IRS. Once your parent has a FSA ID, the username and password for the FAFSA, they'll just have to click on link to IRS. They'll ask you for the FSA ID, and then you'll put your parents' address that they use for the FAFSA to file taxes, and then it will pull all the information from the IRS. So you won't have to put anything manually. You won't have to mess it up, nothing like that. So that's the easiest way. Sometimes the option's not available and you'll have to put it in manually, which you have to be careful. But this is oftentimes available to link it to the IRS. So if it's available, make sure you take advantage of it. Then you just sign, you'll have to sign it with your FSA ID, and then your parent signs it with their FSA ID. And like I said, I skipped some sections just for the sake of time, but I wanted to highlight the most important things. Now, listen carefully. I get this all the time. Students complete their FAFSA and they don't realize how much money they got. They don't take the time to look at this confirmation page. And then also they kind of hide it so you won't see how much you're getting. But can everyone see here where it says estimated family contribution? You see those numbers? So usually if this number's right there, the 2,592, if those are all zeros, that means you're getting the full amount for the Pell Grant. You can also click down. You see it's a little arrow. If you click it, it'll have a drop down that will show you how much you're getting for the Pell Grant, how much loans you're eligible for, and then more information on there. All right. So like I said, don't forget to click this for the drop down so that you can see the how much you're getting for the Pell Grant, because you want to know how much money you're counting on to pay for school. The bigger this number is, the EFC, the less you'll get. So it could be that if it goes over, say, 6,000, it could be that they're not giving you anything for the Pell Grant. But it'll say on there once you bring it down how much they're giving you. All right, so here, since we love our students, and we wanted to make a video of a walkthrough of completing the FAFSA. This video goes step by step on how to complete the FAFSA and each question. One of my awesome coworkers did this video, so I'm not gonna play for you. I'll let you do it at your own time. Like I said, if you don't feel like watching that whole video and you just want somebody to sit down with you and get it done in 15 minutes, I'm the person to call. So I'll put here YouTube video on FAFSA, and I'll put the link on the chat. Give me 1 second, let me get that link. I'll be able to, just so you know, I'll be able to save the chat at the end, and then I'll send it to Mr. Scales so he can send you all the information that has been put on the chat. So don't freak out if you're not writing all this down, or all the stuff we're putting on the chat at least. All right, so that video is there for you to watch at your own time. It's gonna be on YouTube on how to complete the FAFSA. So we talked about step 1, which was create the FSA ID. Step 2 was to complete the FAFSA, which is what we just reviewed. Step 3 is to review the student's aid report, or commonly known as the SAR. The SAR report is basically the results of the FAFSA. It tells you how much money you're getting to go to school. So if a school asks for your SAR report, you'll be like, what the heck is that? Just know that it's the report at the end of the FAFSA. It's called the SAR. And you can log into your FAFSA once you complete the application, and it'll be there. And you can download it or print it out, whatever you want to do. Step 4 is to submit your paperwork. So say you completed your FAFSA, but there was something weird on there that the school needs additional information about. They'll email you and say, hey, you turned in your FAFSA, but we have a question about this particular question. So go ahead and send us your tax documents, or send us X, Y, and Z. So they'll let you know which documents that you need to turn in order to receive your financial aid. Please, please, please check your email. Make sure that you're on top of it, because financial aid offices get really overwhelmed the closer they get to the beginning of the semester. So it could be that classes start and your financial aid will not be processed yet. And that means you'll have to be paying out of pocket until they process your financial aid. So as soon as you get that email, if you do get it, make sure you turn in the paperwork they're requesting. Once they approve your FAFSA and they get all the documentation they need, they'll send you a letter called an award letter. There they'll tell you all the scholarships they're offering you that you apply for. Remember, they won't just give you a scholarship. You have to either apply for it or know that they'll be offering it at some point. They won't just like say, oh, by the way, you'd never heard about this, but we're giving you this money. So keep that in mind. They don't usually do that unless they said they would. But all those scholarships will be there. All the financial aid from the FAFSA will be there. Make sure you review it and understand what you have to pay back and what portions you do not have to pay back. Now, the last step, if you do decide to take out loans, there's going to be some applications you'll have to complete. One of them is the master promissory note, and the other one is the loan entrance counseling application. I won't get into details on those because I'm hoping that you'll find enough scholarships and aid that you don't have to pay back and you won't have to take out loans. But if you find out that you have to take out loans, let me know and I can help you get those taken care of. Now, the last thing, if you decide to do work study, then you can reach out to the college or on their website and start looking for jobs. More information on these steps can be found on the booklet on pages 2 to 3. So it's there for you to look at your own time. Now, what to do after completing the FAFSA? I already talked about those loans, doing loan counseling, master promissory, and work study to check for jobs. Okay, any questions about the FAFSA? Before we move on to scholarships. FAFSA is money from the federal government, all right? Then I'll move on to scholarships.
I think we have one question in the chat from Candace. Candace asked,
Okay.
Candace asked, on the school section part, they only let you put 10 schools. So are we able to go back and add more later on, or what would we go about doing that?
That's a great question. So yes, it can only let you put up to 10 schools. My recommendation is to choose the schools that you know that you're leaning more towards. But if you end up with the case where you submitted the FAFSA and now there's a school that you want to go to, but it's not on the FAFSA, you can always go back and add the school, but you'll have to take one off. So hopefully by the time that you realize that there's another school you want to go to, you'll already know that there's some on the list that you are not considering anymore. Because I feel like by the time you get to that situation, it'll be closer to like maybe February or March, April. So by then I feel like you'll have your list of schools narrowed down a little bit more, or you'll have more answers from the colleges. And you can take some off and put the other ones that you're considering. Does that answer the question? All right. Let's see. Yes, okay, perfect. So we'll move on to the next section. If everyone's still awake, go ahead and type in scholarships on the chat box. Travis, good, good. Candace, good. All right. You guys are still awake. You guys are still with me. Like I say, I'm respecting your time, so I promise you I won't keep you here any longer than I need to. I'm just going over the most important information. So for scholarships, there are 2 types of scholarships generally. There's the merit-based and the need-based. Merit is based on your grades, your talents, any leadership abilities, any academic performance, it's all that. Need-based is on how much money you need and how much money your family makes. All right. So the FAFSA, here's a pop quiz. Is the FAFSA need-based or merit-based? Type in need or merit on the chat box. The FAFSA, is that merit or need? Yep, you guys are doing great. Yeah, it's need-based because it's only on how much your parents make. They're not asking you about ACT, GPA, anything like that. So good. You guys are paying attention. So remember at the beginning, I said that there were three levels or 3 categories for scholarships. It was state, and then I put institutional, and then I put organizations or companies. So federal level was the FAFSA. So now we're going into state. So state, and then we'll go into institutional, which are the colleges, and then the private organizations and that. For state, it's from the ADHE. One of the most common scholarships from them is the Arkansas Lottery or the Academic Challenge. They're the same thing, just different names. Academic Challenge, or Arkansas Lottery. For this one, the only thing that they look at is your ACT. If you have a 19 on the ACT, then you qualify for this scholarship. So put on the chat box, is this a need or merit? Is the Arkansas Lottery scholarship need or merit? Perfect. Yes, it's merit, because they're not looking at how much your parents make. All they care about is, do you have that 19 on the ACT or a 246 on the AccuPlacer. So if you cannot get the 19 on the ACT, please, please, please take the AccuPlacer, because I had a lot of my students where they were not able to get that 19, but they took the AccuPlacer with me and they were able to get the scholarship just because they gave it another chance and took the AccuPlacer. So keep that in mind if you're not getting that 19. The booklet that I shared with you on page 9 has more information about the scholarships that are offered through the Department of Higher Ed here in Arkansas. Like I said, the most common one is the Arkansas Lottery. That's the only one I'll go over right now, but you're more than welcome to look at page 9 and look at the other scholarships that they offer and its requirements. All right. So other types of federal and state aid, which you'll also find on page 10. It's military scholarships, veteran independence of veteran scholarships, and then their rehab services. That's usually for adults. So definitely take a look at that booklet so you can look at all the details on those state aid and federal aid that are available. All right. So now we go into the institutional, which is colleges and universities. And just as a side note, I always recommend to apply for these scholarships in that order. Like first FAFSA, then the state, and then institutional, and then the private ones. You want to apply to them around the same time, but that's usually the order I recommend doing. For scholarships at colleges, they'll look at things such as your grade level, your GPA. They'll look at financial aid. Some of them will look at talents or sports. Some of them will look at community service. So they can look at different aspects. The best thing to do is to go to type in the college that you want to go into and then scholarships. And it'll show the list of the scholarships that they offer for that particular school. There's tons of them, hundreds of colleges. Of course, I'm not going to go into details about each college, but like I said, if you just type in the college and then scholarships, and they will show the list of all the financial aid that they have available. They'll let you know what their requirements are, whether it's merit or need-based. All right, and then the last level, it's programs and organizations. So for scholarships, it's really different for each scholarship, because I can wake up today and say, I want to create a scholarship fund. I want the student to be a minority, and I want it to be need-based, and I want them to have 50 hours of community service. So, and then Mr. Scales can wake up and say the same thing and have totally different requirements. So each scholarship is different. Make sure you read the requirements first before you start applying, because I don't want you to waste your time and then find out that you don't qualify for it. But some of the scholarships look into, of course, the merit and need-based. They look at religious convictions, community service, any disabilities or ethnic background. Like, for example, LULAC usually targets Hispanic students, 100 Black men. They usually do African Americans. They can give it to other, but that's their target. So don't get confused that just because it's LULAC, it's only going to be Hispanics. You still can apply. They won't discriminate, but just keep that in mind. If you have any artistic abilities, anything like that, there's a scholarship for you. I'm left-handed, so there's a scholarship for left-handers. There's scholarships for anything, and I'll tell you how to find them and how to go about them. So where to start? looking for scholarships. Reach out to the financial aid office at your at the college. They can tell you about those institutional scholarships, or look at their websites. That's probably the best way to go about it. So if you call, they'll probably direct you there. Check it with local organizations and community foundations. Also, look at scholarship search sites like scholarships.com or fastweb.com, Sally Mae. There's a lot of websites that provide information on scholarships. And the cool thing about those websites is that you can put all your information on there and they'll match you with scholarships that fit your criteria and fit your profile. And I know with you guys, you have Navians, and they can do a scholarship search as well through the Navians program that the school provides. All right, and also if you become a TRIO participant, I usually send out a list of scholarships that you can apply for. So that's another reason why you should become one. Now, when to apply for scholarships? They're offered year-round, so the answer is now. Don't waste time. Start applying for scholarships now. Definitely look. One of the two things that you need to look at first is the deadline, and then the other one is the requirements. From there, you'll determine if you should spend your time on it, waste your time on it or not, if it's a waste of time, or if it's good to apply for it. When to apply for scholarships? Most deadlines, and of course, these are not true for every scholarship, but most deadlines are February, March, and April. Some colleges have their deadline as early as December. I know for Hendrix, they have one program where you have to apply by November 15th. So really start on it as soon as you can, because you don't want to miss those deadlines, okay? Now, how to navigate the process. First thing you have to do is get organized. Put together the information that you need for the scholarship applications, like knowing your GPA, your ACT. Go ahead and start requesting those letters of recommendation, because a teacher generally will take 2 to 3 weeks to get you a letter of recommendation, because you're not the only student. So go ahead and get those letters of recommendation requested, so they'll be ready for whenever you need them. Make sure you know what colleges you want to go to so that you can start looking at their scholarships. Start writing that personal essay. Share it with your best friend, share it with your teacher, share it with Mr. Scales, with anybody that is willing to read it. Share it with them and ask for feedback, because the better the essay, the more likely you are to get some type of aid. And then community service and volunteer work. Really get out there in the community, show up and show out, and make sure that you put those hours in, so that when you apply to a scholarship, you stand out. They want to give it to those that are giving back. It's like, we're giving you money, we want to see that you're giving as well. So it's like an exchange. So you definitely want to stand out. One way to go about it is through volunteer work. All right, let's see. How to navigate the process. Create a list of eligible scholarships. So look through the list, see which ones you qualify for, and then sort them out by deadline, and then start applying for them. If you have that one good essay, you can use it for other essays. They usually ask the same question. So same letter of recommendation, you can use it. Everything you can use it. You'll probably have to do minimal changes for a lot of scholarships. So best thing to do is to organize it, have everything ready, and start applying by deadline. All right. And just for the sake of time, I'm not gonna go over these tips I had. Give me a second. Okay. Yeah, so these are just like common mistakes and tips and all that. I will not go over this for the sake of time, because I want to open it up for questions. But I do plan on sending this presentation to Mr. Scales so he can share with you. So I'll send him the chat with all the contact information and links. I'll send him this presentation, and then also I'll eventually turn it into a video and put it on Facebook for you guys to watch or share with other friends or classmates that did not get to see it. So, any questions? I know it's a lot of information, but trust me, you're going to need it. So try to take us, review all the notes that you took and ask any questions now or a later time. I'll be happy to answer them. Feel free to unmute yourself if you have questions or put them on the chat box.
So you got a message. How can we detect scholarship scams?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. The easiest way is if they're asking you for some type of money to apply, then it's probably a scam. Like if they're like, oh, pay us this much or do a down payment for this scholarship, it's probably a scam. Also, when they get too personal on questions, a lot of times they're not going to ask for your social, things like that. But if they're starting to ask for social or really private information, like credit card information, then reach out to one of your counselors or Mr. Scales and we can verify the application or the scholarship. Another thing is, I always say Google is your best friend. So if you see a scholarship and it has a name of a company or a website, look it up. Just look it up and see if it seems legit. Sorry, I've been talking too much.
No, you good. While we're waiting for other scholars to ask questions, if they may have any, I do just want to call out some of the high points that you mentioned. Scholars, please understand that, you know, within our process at school, we do require you to get community service. You can do that a variety of ways. You know, understanding it is with COVID and everything, organizations are still looking for support, whether that's virtually, whether that's, you know, once a week. It's still important for you to reach out and vet organizations if you're looking to serve, to see what type of accommodations they can make to help you get hours as needed.
Any other questions you guys may have? And like I said, if questions pop up after this presentation, I'll share my contact information with Mr. Scale so he can share with you. It says, do you know when UCA deadline is to sign up? So I don't think they have exact deadline to complete the college application, but the sooner you do it, the better. For the scholarships, I'm not sure, but if you type UCA application deadline or UCA scholarship deadline, it's gonna pop right away. So you should be able to see it. It says, does the college emails from colleges from places I didn't apply for, is it good to reply? So the question is, does the college emails from colleges from places I didn't apply it's good to reply to them. Only if you're interested in the college. The way they do it, or the way this works, is whenever you, for example, sign up for a scholarship search website or you sign up for the ACT, they provide this information to those colleges and those colleges reach out to you. But if you're not interested, it's not necessary to reply, only if you are interested.
And to add to that, scholars, we do want to set the expectation. You know, a lot of times when you do apply, you will receive system generated emails. Hey, thank you for applying. We can be reached using, they will usually provide additional contact information for you so you can follow up with them. Also understand that during COVID, most offices of admissions are overwhelmed right now. So, you know, there may be a delay in the application process. Normally that's usually 2 to 3 weeks. Some are as fast as a week, but you need to give yourself, limit the expectations so you won't have all this heightened anxiety about receiving a admissions decision. Understand that they are processing your application, and just be patient.
Yes. And then the other question was about the Arkansas Lottery Scholarship. Give me a second. Let me get to it.
It says, for the Arkansas Lottery Scholarship, will it allow an ACT super score of at least a 19?
Yeah, I believe they are doing it now. They're accepting the super score, if I'm not mistaken. And we can actually take a look at that really quick. I think I remember seeing it here. I don't see it here right now. I think from last time I saw it, they were taking a super score of a list of 19. But if you do not have the super score of a 19, then like I said, you can also take the AccuPlacer test. And then if a test is optional, does submitting a test increase your chances of being accepted? That's a tricky question because I've heard like mixed answers. When you do not submit they usually say, do not submit your test scores if you feel like the test score is not it's not a representation of your academics. So if, for example, you're a 4.0 student and you know how to do the work and you know that you're good in academics, but you have test anxiety and you just can't do well on the test, then you don't have to submit it. They'll look at other options. They'll look at other things like your community service, your leadership, your GPA. They'll look at other things. But if you take it, you have, say, a 32 and it's a good representation of your academics, then definitely turn it in.
Do we have, and to that point, could any other representatives who utilize test optional, could y'all speak to that?
I can real quickly. At University of Arkansas for fall 21, if a student falls in that range of being test optional, so their GPA is above a 3.2, they don't have to submit a test score, but if they submit a test score that is below that 20, that's not going to interfere with them getting an admission decision. We encourage our students to still continue to test through December through February for scholarship consideration. And then all of our admitted students will have to turn in some type of test score for course placement. But if you have above a 3.2 and you go ahead and submit a score that is maybe not your best, it's not going to cause a different kind of decision if you fall into that test optional area for us.
And I wanted to go back to the question about the ACT. I found this. It says in 2019, it was amended to expand eligibility to students who have an ACT super score of a 19. So for the Arkansas Lottery, if you have a super score of a 19, you'll qualify for it.
Right. Hey, thank you for that share, Ms. Radina and Sandra. Also, scholars, I do want to acknowledge. We do understand that the ACT definitely can be a hindrance. Ms. Radina mentioned course placement, and I think something that is definitely an indicator you all have to consider. They're asking for the super score, which you may or may not have. I want you all to continue to take the test until you can't anymore, because course placement matters. So, if we're talking about financial aid, the institution, your financial aid will only allow for 8 semesters worth of funding. So if you're going in to a situation where course placement isn't beneficial and you have to take additional courses before you transition into like your basic courses, then you're losing financial aid time, if you will. So you may come into a situation where you're a semester behind financially. And I know that, may not matter, but when you have 8 semesters that you're trying to finish in, you want to make sure that those funds can be secured for your classes that you need. And again, you need them all, but like you want to help yourself out.
And I wanted to add to what Mr. Scale said. Definitely take the ACT as many times as you can. Try to take advantage of as many ACT boot camps or sessions or online tutoring. Take advantage of that as much as you can, because trust me, they do help. So the more you practice, the better you'll do on the ACT. The other thing, the AccuPlacer, you should only take it as a worst case scenario or as a last option. Because the AccuPlacer, some schools accept it and others don't. So I don't want you to be in a situation where you stop taking the ACT, then you decide to do the AccuPlacer, and then the school that you're interested in doesn't accept the AccuPlacer. Also, most schools, scholarships, most of the scholarships from the schools or other scholarships will look at the ACT. They do not accept the AccuPlacer. The Arkansas Lottery does accept the AccuPlacer, and then the AccuPlacer can be used to get out of remedial in some schools, but besides that, it won't do you much good. So that's why ACT is the best way to go as a senior.
And I've shared the test dates for the ACT. Scholars, you know, we've had over the course of a few weeks, we've had the ACT prep as well. You know, I've sent emails about registration and waivers and things of that nature. Again, Sandra is a resource in that space. I am a resource in that space, and we just want to make sure if you're going to test, you have the resources and time you need to properly prepare. Well, in the essence of time, Sandra, you know, we want to thank you for today. I don't know if you have any other questions for the group, any final thoughts, but I want to value your time in the college representatives. Do y'all have any final thoughts that scholars need to hear before we exit?
For me, it's just really consider applying for the TRIO programs. It's great benefits. They're free. We pay for a lot of the services that become free to you. So definitely take advantage of that. And then my contact info is on the chat box. So you can contact me whenever you want.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me tonight. Sandra, you did a really great job of talking about the FAFSA. That's kind of sometimes a challenge and kind of a beast, but you did a great job. And I just want to mention, we're talking about course placement. You know, University of Arkansas, we do with our scholarships, we're looking at an ACT and an SAT for admission. We're accepting the AccuPlacer this year for fall 21, which we haven't before. But we really like to see our students, if they have some remediation with an ACT score, that they can test with the AccuPlacer, maybe just in math, maybe just in English or writing or reading, and then that can help them meet some of that remediation. Even taking some remedial courses, maybe at a community college or a college level course, anything you can do to help you when you come on campus in August, be ready for those college level classes, because Mr. Scales is exactly right. You only got aid for so long, and you want to make sure you can get that degree. So anything you can do to be prepared is really great.
Again, for me, I would like to just say apply early, apply to everything, take advantage of all of these free opportunities and free applications that college recruiters offer you. I know that helped me apply for a lot more colleges, and you get to see what you really qualify for. And that way, like, money isn't a hindrance because you're throwing your name in a bunch of hats. And some schools may offer you more money that you never would have thought of. Like, who knows, Arkansas Tech probably trying to offer you a full ride, but you didn't apply. So apply, and apply early to every school that you think you might want to attend. I say make it a competition with your friends and see who can apply and get accepted to the most colleges, you know, just to keep it competitive, because it really doesn't hurt to apply.
I would like to say thank you for having us as well, and to echo both U of A and PTC, yes to everything they said. Also, the same goes for Arkansas Tech. Our application is free to complete, free to fill out always. But where U of A said about taking the AccuPlacer for a placement, we do accept it for admission as well as the ACT and SAT. But if you do get that conditional admission, you can take the AccuPlacer in just one subject area that you need to test out of their remedial classes. Or like she also said, taking those remedial classes at a community college over the summertime and then transfer them over, because like Chris said, we do accept transfer credits from community colleges. So yes to everything they said.
Wonderful. Thank you all for your closing remarks. I did, before you finish, in the chat, I'm circling back, I got to make the full circle. Scholars, Student Support Services TRIO is definitely a near and dear program. I would have never made it through college without it. True story, walked past it probably for almost a semester. And I was really struggling in the worst way. And my best friend at the time happened to be a tutor in TRIO, and never said anything, or I didn't open my mouth. So I'm going to encourage you all to do your additional research on TRIO Student Support Services. There's a variety of again, free programs if you're eligible, which also transition into the McNair Scholars. So scholars, you can go all the way until, your master's and beyond utilizing TRIO Student Support Services. So do your due diligence while we have this time. You got a lot of free time out there using the internet as a resource. And I would hope that today we helped ease some of that anxiety you have. We'll be sharing this information again, but know that everybody who spoke today is a resource that you need to leverage. So again, from me to you all, thank you so much. I'm glad you could hop on and stay on as long as you could, because I know you're servicing a lot of kids throughout the state. But scholars, don't hesitate to reach out to any one of them.